It's a main event that has to happen. Ketlen Vieira taking on the former champion of this division. You know her as Cupcake, Miesha Tate. Matt, if we're on to food references, this fight is as weird as a mega load bar. Now, there's a lot of you out there that are going, what the hell is a mega load bar? I'm going to put it up like
something terrible.
Look at that. There's a cookie on top of a peanut butter cup. There's another cookie on top. And then there's like, not M&Ms because they can't use M&Ms or Oreos or generic chocolate chip cookie. This is so weird though that they only sell it at like an odd gas station near where we live. And it's an odd enough bar that I went on their website today, which hasn't been updated since 2013, because it features like a Kids' Choice Award winner that was on Breaking Bad. Go check it out. Megaload bars are weird. This main event is weird like that too, because...
Can we get Megaloads on board?
I don't think so after what I just said. But for Miesha Tate, her long-awaited return, she fought Raquel Pennington almost 5 years ago. She fought Marion Renault almost 4 months ago. And then after that fight, they wanted a quick turnaround. They matched her up with Ketlen Vieira, who lost her last fight to Yana Kunitskaya. And I'll get into that fight and why I thought Ketlen won, but maybe she didn't. Either way... Ketlen missed weight. She weighed 138 for that fight. She had a win before that over Sijara Eubanks. None of these fighters really equating to, wow, we should give Ketlen a main event. But the UFC did. And you know what, Matt? This main event wasn't just scheduled for November. This was a fight that was supposed to take place a month ago.
So nice, you got to do it twice.
Miesha Tate tested positive for COVID. And some of you out there are going to go, Craig, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm going to read you a direct quote. The website's MMA Mania, but the interview was with Combat Culture. You know him as This Is Shaq, friend of the program. But this is the quote from Miesha Tate surrounding what had gone through her body. It's still clearing out of my lungs just a little bit, like when I wake up in the morning. Tate tells SB Nation's Combat Culture and MMAmania.com about her COVID recovery. You can hear it a little bit probably in my sinuses still. I still have a little bit of a cough, but it's getting better every day. I had a really tough strength and conditioning workout today, and I feel like I crushed it, so the limitations are getting much less. I think it's just a matter of continuing to work through it and progress. Hopefully this will get rescheduled before too long. Essentially, it cost me 2 weeks of camp. I was pretty sick. Nothing alarming. A little bit of a fever. I had a pretty severe cough. I had sinus congestion. I wasn't sleeping well at night. Taste and smell got weird. It was kind of muted. But the next week, my kids were sick, so I couldn't really even get to the gym to train. I couldn't hire a sitter. I couldn't have anybody come here. I couldn't take them out. I couldn't take them with me. Regardless, it didn't seem like it was terrible, but it also didn't seem like it was that great either. And listen, at the end of the day, it affects everybody differently, and Tate ended up needing about to be totally rescheduled. And I should note that this website was updated September of 2021, so it was just the end of September, a couple weeks before the fight. So unfortunate for Tate. Hopefully she's somewhere near 100% coming into this fight. But listen, man. You miss weight at 138 and lose a fight? Why are we making main events?
Okay, you jumped around a little bit there, so let me
Megaloads.
Okay. Miesha Tate later on in that interview does go on to say, when I show up for this fight, I will be 100% though. So that does have to be said. Like, she's not still dealing with some of those lingering feelings, or at least she said that in the media. Because I'm going to bring this up. I don't watch PFL, and I let that be known. I'm not a big PFL guy. I did watch Kayla Harrison's last fight, though, and I did watch the media leading up to it. She openly admitted that she had a terrible sinus infection, like, in her interview with Ariel Helwani. She was coughing constantly, and she looked all right, and that was the week of the fight. So, like you had said, it affects everybody differently, and it's kind of funny. You've read off, like, 4 paragraphs to say, like, hey... But it doesn't matter.
It was funny because one was this way, but one was that way.
This is why this fight's going to be so interesting with Ketlen Vieira, because the positions that Vieira is really good at, she is phenomenal at. When she is on top of her opponent, she's got that, like, it's almost like a pancake type of a style. She flattens you out, and you really feel her physicality in there. But I always go back to the Sarah McMahon fight, because she gets put in some bad positions in that fight, but she's able to work out of them. McMahon takes her down. She's doing really well with her wrestling early on, but... When Vieira is able to sweep McMahon and get into that top position, she's able to go to work and basically cut through her defenses like a hot knife through butter. The difference, though, is when you're fighting someone like McMahon, who isn't the best defensive grappler, you can start to get some positions here and there throughout the fight that you normally can't do against these other top-level grapplers. With Miesha Tate, though, she's kind of like Sarah McMahon, but with all the intangibles. She's got higher technical IQ. She has higher MMA IQ. I think she's a more defensively sound striker, even though Sarah McMahon, honestly, probably has more pop at the end of her shots in the feet. She's got underrated power. But when I look at Miesha Tate, Tate, she fights in a very similar manner as Sarah McMahon, but she doesn't have all those extra holes in her game.
And I mean, Matt, if we're talking about megaloads, which maybe they will come back on board, you can't make this stuff up. It's a cookie that looks like an Oreo on top of a peanut butter cup. It's crazy. But still, it's so weird that when you look at this one in the UFC's promo for this fight, that's the free fight that they chose for Ketlen Vieira, because really, that's the only highlight you can go with. She beat Sarah McMahon, a former title challenger. Oh, that fight? 4 years and 2 months ago. Then she beats Kat Zingano by split decision. And by that point, I was sold. We're off to the races. Ketlen could be the next champion. I thought that she had a good shot against Amanda Nunes. And then it was a gut check when Irene Aldana went out there, put everything into that hook, knocked her out. So then she took 10 months off. She beat Sijara Eubanks. That's a good win. And then she fights Yana Kunitskaya. Matt, that's where the notes come in handy. Because in that fight, you might go, okay, unanimous decision win for Kunitskaya. Vieira misses weight. Why are we here? I'll tell you why we're here. A, it's to boost Miesha Tate's star. If she wins, it's like, wow, you just won a main event? Maybe after Juliana Pena, you get the fight against Nunes. If Vieira wins, it's, oh, well, you beat a former champion, now you can fight Nunes, even though, now everything's forgotten. But in that fight against Kunitskaya, the judges scored the fight. Judge Cologne scored round 1 for Kunitskaya. But the other judges, D'Amato and Junichiro Kamijo, scored it for Vieira. Round 2, all of them scored it for Kunitskaya. Round 3, Cologne scored at Vieira, but the other two had it for Kunitskaya. So Kunitskaya wins 29-28 on all 3 judges' scorecards, but different rounds with different judges. MMA decisions, 3 had it 30-29 Kunitskaya, 1 had it 28-27, Drake Riggs for Kunitskaya, 14 had it 29-28 Vieira, and in that fight, if you just look at the stats, they support a giant win for Kunitskaya because she outstrikes the hell out of poor old Ketlen Vieira. The total strikes in that fight, 215-35. The control time relatively close, but Matt, what happened in that fight? Ketlen got her takedowns and then did nothing with nothing. Terrible.
That's my big point. If she gets into a good position, she is very good in those set positions. It's like my OSP point. Is OSP the best grappler in the world? No, not by any means. But when he gets into that Von Flue position, he's like Rodolfo Vieira. You know what I mean? Like, some guys just have that one spot that they're very comfortable with, and they excel in that one position. With Ketlen Vieira, it's the head and arm choke offensively. She's shown the ability to get that off on other high-level grapplers in the past, and that's really the key. She's not just getting submission wins over low levels of competition. She has been able to go out there and submit other grapplers, and I think that's an important point to make. But this is the thing about Miesha Tate. We've never seen Miesha Tate get out grappled in a fight. I know she lost by submission to Amanda Nunes, but that was set up because Nunes just detonated power shots in her face until she basically got dropped and then her nose got all messed up. That was just a really bad fight for Tate. Tate really only loses against those high-level strikers who are able to defend her takedown attempts, which isn't a style I think Ketlen Vieira can adopt whatsoever. I know Aldana has a win over Vieira, but they're sort of in the same place in the division, right? They're exciting young prospects. They can beat some good fighters, lose to some good fighters, but they both excel in different positions. I look at what Irene Aldana is able to do in the cage, though, and I think that's a much tougher matchup against someone like Tate because she's able to use her movement a lot, can put together some nice volume, whereas for Vieira to win this fight, I'm going to have to rely her to out-cardio and out-grit Miesha Tate, who won a title based on her grit and cardio. So, just in a 5-round atmosphere, I don't feel like there's any really good reasons to pick against Miesha Tate.
And I'm going to counter one thing that you said, and the fact that, going with Vieira because she has these great submission abilities, and to quote you, she submitted good grapplers. She submitted good grappler.
And no, you're right. And Sarah McMahon has shown the ability to lose by submission, but still, to go out there and get on top and reverse a wrestler is a really impressive thing, especially someone who fights in a similar way to me.
What was it, Olympic silver medalist?
Exactly.
Sarah McMahon.
You want to get taken down? Find Sarah McMahon. She'll do it.
Yeah, look at Gina Mazzani. But Matt, in this fight for Vieira, 92% takedown defense in the UFC. And you look at the level of competition that she's fought, that's where I can kind of poke some holes if I was to go that way. Listen, Kelly Faschholtz, Ashley Evans-Smith, Sarah McMahon, Kat Zingano, Sijara Eubanks. But again, the opposite side. Tate was a former champion. Long layoff, 35 right now. She looked good against a 40-plus-year-old gym teacher, Marion Renault. But listen, I was at the camp that Marion Renault she didn't beat Macy Chasson. So what? Who cares? It doesn't mean that much to me. I still had a decently high level of respect for Marion Renault going into that
the
fight.
Marion Renault hype.
The odds for this one, Vieira open to minus 160 favorite, minus 113 or thereabouts right now. For Tate, open to plus 140, minus 108 right now. Matt, this is when I dig out my bag of tricks, also known as my cell phone, and I go over to the YouTube community tab because I asked the fans at Fight Night Picks, hey fans of Fight Night Picks, who do you have in this fight? What are you saying? And over in that community tab, Matt, fans said 61% Miesha Tate. It was about the same thing in the poll that I put out in our story at Fight Night Picks. We're very easy to find. The comments on this one, Matt. The Road Tree Resistance 95 says the UFC should be paying us for putting this as the main event. Afui is saying Vieira should win this fairly easily. And then we've got another comment from Salman Bundy saying, I'll take Miesha Tate in a 5-rounder. Also, Ketlen has nothing to offer off her back. I'll give Vieira round 1 and 2. And then from 3 to 5, it's going to be Tate. So, Matt, the fans with Tate, the odds still maybe with Vieira, maybe a little bit, maybe
Tate's
not.
the favorite.
Depending on, no, the average is Vieira. If you go by it, Topology right now says Tate, but if you go on best fight odds right now, the average is for Vieira. Tate's still an underdog over there, but that we're going tit for tat. Who cares? This fight right here that we have coming up this weekend, I see Miesha Tate winning this fight. I don't see Vieira finishing her in the first round or two.
I don't think Ketlen Vieira is ever going to become a UFC champion. I don't think she has that kind of a ceiling. I agree with you, though. At one point, I thought she was destined to at least be in the mix. It's hard to say you're going to beat Amanda Nunes.
This could be the fight that gets her there. She very well could win this one. Personally, I just don't see it.
Exactly. Let's be confident in it, Craig. Here's the thing. I think Tate excels in all the area Vieira doesn't. What Vieira's not good at is getting up off her back and fighting through adversity. And again, Miesha Tate's kind of built a career off those principles. Now, if Vieira is able to go in there and let's say she can hurt Tate with a shot early, I doubt it's going to happen, but if she can hurt her early, maybe make her force into one of those panic takedowns. Maybe she can grab a guillotine. But this is the thing. I've said maybe about 15 times in the last 30 seconds trying to set up ways for Vieira to win, where the easy game plan and the clear-cut way for Tate is use your pressure, use your volume, just be really physical with Vieira, and you can probably win a decision that way.
Matt, both of us going with Miesha Tate to get the win for the Pacific Northwest. I ate the mega loads. Can confirm it's what you'd expect a megaload to be. So, Matt,
you've got to stop talking about megaloads in your mouth, Craig.
Big time fight coming up this weekend, but both of us going with Miesha Tate. An interesting card that really fills in very well. I know for me, the fights I'm looking forward to, the co-main event, Chiesa taking on Sean Brady. Terrance McKinney, Faraz Ziam, Matt, what am I missing? My guy, Ronnie Yaya, taking on Kyung Ho Gong. What are you excited about?
Sean Brady's got a really big opportunity in the co-main event to make a name for himself. He's never fought a ranked opponent before, and the fact that they're giving him somebody who's not only fought in big cards, he's fought as the main event headliner on multiple cards in the past. I think this is a huge opportunity, and this is sort of one of those weird crossroads fights where if Chiesa wins, he can still establish himself as one of the best at 170, but if Brady wins, then he's ready for the top guys.
Make sure you check out Fight Night Picks !Kicks live 2 hours before the prelims here on the channel. You can find that in the channel playlist. I'm sure you've already checked it out by now. And a new look for those individual videos as well. So keep your eye out for all of that here with Fight Night Picks. We got a big week coming up. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say, let's get into it.